of it, the state says to us, you have to send out notifications.
No. So what we've been doing, if we had to test, obviously we can dump right straight into the tank for the wells, because all the sampling we've been having to do is straight off the well system. So, but we can dump the tank down, get it down to like 15 inches, let water flow. You know, if we ever had to turn that online, like right now, if all of a sudden Muddy Beach was needed, we wouldn't go turn it on. We would go, because I just know it's been kind of offline to the system for so long. We'd flush it out to waste, we'd pull a bacteria sample, we'd wait till that one came back clean, and then we would go ahead and get it online. So right now it's completely isolated from the rest of the system, or it's off, so we don't have the valve closed, but we just have the pumps off. So any testing or anything that's happening, we can let her flush into just turn them on, let them run into the tank. We can drain the tank down, so she's got 5,000 gallons of space to do that, so we're not worried about, you know, the well lines having also sat stagnant for too long. We could also just go into a rotation once a 2 weeks, just spend half an hour down there. I mean, we can move some pretty good water, move 100 gallons a minute. So if we spend half an hour down there, we can turn water over and keep it ready to go online. Because I feel like if we're moving water at least every few weeks, that I'm not overly concerned about it. It's if it's been sitting for, you know,
couple of months.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know exactly where I draw the line. It's more of a kind of see the last time we ran in, we're like, nah, we better get this one checked out before we put it online. But so it's still very, you know, it's ready to go. It's there. It's available to us, but it's not. It hasn't been like I think it's probably been months. So we're in the zone we would want to test it and check it out before putting it online. But
So I'm going to ask Nick to have an email from the guy at DES.
yeah.
Say that, yes, continue to test the well, and if the uranium level's high, you don't have to notify,
I see what you're saying.
because we're not sending it into the system.
Yeah, you can try that. I don't know that they're going to do that for you because it's still technically an active source. So what we're doing by keeping it as an active source is meaning that we can put it online at any time without it being a, you know, act of the state to put it back online, right? It's a viable online source. We're just choosing not to use it. Obviously, I can't answer that question. They may say.
I'd like to hear the answer from him.
Yep.
And if we do have to notify people, could we qualify it by saying that this hasn't been used since November 26th, 2024?
Yeah, they have notes at the.
I think in an unofficial capacity, you can tell people that, but you just always have to be really careful that
We don't say something can be
you don't stub your toe.
misconstrued.
Yeah,
Right.
you don't stub your toe with the information you give them. Because at the end of the day, if I had an emergency next week and DPW went offline, I would be putting Muddy Beach back online. And if the day before you just sent out a notification saying we haven't used it, we have no intention to use it, and then they say, well, we saw that that's running over there, and it's, you know, so it's just one of those.
We have an intention to use it if we have to.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing is it costs us about $500 every time we send the
Yeah.
notification.
Oh, I'm surprised it's that cheap, to be honest with you. I would have guessed more than that.
Well, we had Wood to do it, so.
Yeah, there you go. Just an envelope. I mean, are you guys doing an envelope stamp
No, we
paper?
use Minuteman Press,
Minuteman,
but it's still,
How does it get to the customer? How are you guys
They
doing?
send it.
They mail it?
yeah, physical mail, bulk mail.
Interesting. That's actually a pretty good deal.
It definitely is.
I'm gonna, yeah.
Through Minuteman?
I mean, hell, we
Minuteman
spend,
Press, yeah.
we have like 30 home developments, we spend $150 just getting, but by the time you got the stamp, the envelope,
I know.
stuffed piece of
Well,
paper, you know, time to sit there and print it
They have
and,
a
you know,
lot of
distribute it.
automated
and-
things that can
Yeah, it's like, Jesus.
whip it out, yeah.
So,
This has been
anyway,
brought to you
that's,
by our sponsor, Minuteman.
there we go, all right, we'll talk to them next time we gotta put out a mailer, but, yeah, so anyway, find out on that. I just wouldn't be surprised if they say no, unfortunately, you're gonna have to still
Yeah.
notify people that a potential active source is still, because it's not an inactive source, it's still considered an active
Okay.
source. And
I'd still like to get that.
yeah,
documented.
check into it
Yep.
with it, because it may be going to quote unquote inactive isn't as I always, in the back of my head is like, don't ever take your source inactive, because to get it back to an active source can be insane. Like they can have you resample the whole SDWA, and you know, like you have to come up to current. I don't know. They can do some, like we had a system that went back online. They were technically, they never took the well offline, but they went from being a community water system to a non-community water system, back to being a community water system. And when they did, it was like, it cost them almost 50 grand just to bring the well back
It's like a
online.
new water
So,
system.
It's like they treat it like a brand new.
We have
even
the
though-
challenge of educating everybody as to the difference between the gravel pack municipal well that we want to duplicate at DPW 1 in the wells that are in some of our backyards, closer to the type of well that's at Muddy Beach.
Right, being with
There's a
uranium.
huge difference between them.
Huge difference.
The amount of work the amount of money it's gonna take to put the second well B into is gonna be a surprise to people. It's gonna be
Yeah,
a surprise
it's
to me
expensive.
because I remember the numbers I paid
I know.
back in '95, and it's not gonna be near that.
Yeah, probably 5 times that, right? Even in a, even in the same zone, but.
That's gonna save some money, Nick pointing out, is that it's already known, it's already been approved that.
Yeah.
Because I did look at alternate locations, and one of them was the alternate location for the original well in the same aquifer further down Route 113. And I think the land acquisition would be like,
As bad as just,
yeah,
yeah.
like $500,000 to buy the land that we would need. And
Crazy.
the interesting thing is where the Great Chin well field was, which was, I think, before your time.
it is, yep.
That's a wetlands area that's 16 acres and inside Idlewild.
Yeah. And you guys own that still?
But I doubt they would let us do what they did back in the 60s by putting a well field.
Yeah, and
into-
fill it, and who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, you never know, but it's, the well might be able to go into the wetlands. I was actually just talking to somebody about sourcing on that, where they've been having wells stick up in the air above the current floodplains and stuff, so you'll have like a well pipe sticking 10 feet in the air. I'm like, God, it's just wild, you know, but it's,
To allow the flooding to come up and not cover it.
yep. So
Oh, wow.
it's not impossible
Yeah.
that they would allow the well, I don't know if they'd allow a pump house to be put
Yeah.
in it. You would have to find a different lot and do a, non-flood zone for the well, for the actual pump house, but,
And then the corrosion control facility is already at DBW1.
right,
And
that all
putting-
helps.
Building one into the wet area of Great Chin is not possible, I don't think.
Yeah,
The cost
no.
of that, duplicating the corrosion control is.
Right, you have so
crazy.
many things that are already, your
Already
SCADA
there.
system's there, I mean, a lot of the backbone of what you need is already there. It's the drilling the well and tying it into the system is really, I know there's a large cost with it, but that is the extent of the project. I mean, outside of that, all the telemetry, all the pipe work, all the everything is there, so.
I'm just doing the due diligence because somebody would say, why are you putting a well into the same wellhead area?
Right,
And all the risk is in one area, and that's because the feasibility of putting it away from that wellhead area and starting a new protected wellhead area with all of the pieces to go together to make that come online, nobody's gonna wanna pay for.
no. And, I mean, it's just, we know, we have a known source of water right there, it's,
We
anywhere
also
you
own a
take
7-acre parcel walking distance from Muddy Beach. And what a shame that would be to put a gravel packed municipal well. It would have to test it and see whether uranium happens to be there.
Yeah.
It's hard to picture that the uranium source has to be close to the DPW, to the Muddy Beach well head.
Yeah, I mean, it's down to
It
that
could be one
bedrock.
rock that's a certain
Yeah.
size,
Right,
in the right
right.
conditions, gets its uranium into the water flow, and it just happens more now.
I mean, we have it all in that whole area. Like you said, the neighboring system had it. We have a bunch of residential houses down there on Town Line and Island Drive and that whole area that's got uranium. So it's just that there's a pocket there for sure.
Well, if you look at there's a map that shows the entire state, and Carroll County is at least
High on the list.
Yes.
the whole
Yeah.
county. I
Yeah.
mean, people
Comes
with
up
backyard
rare.
wells don't have to test for uranium.
Right.
So it sounds like we're the only well with the uranium
Yeah.
problems. And I think there's a lot more people that have backyard wells
You
that
don't
don't
even know it.
Right. No, that's true.
Anyway,
Yep. Okay, so yeah, you
I'll
guys
let
are obviously
you
moving
take-
forward with that.
whatever agenda you have, those are my topics.
Only a couple little things to go over. We got a couple. We'll get you some requests for work orders on them. Just on Friday checks, we found that the heater's kind of acting up over at Jungfrau. Just an all-in-one. There is no separate thermostat, so we can get.
Is it back on high again?
It's stuck on high again. Yeah. So I
That
think
happened last year.
last year, or the year before.
Last year.
So it's been fine all year until now. So it's just, I mean, that thing gets stuck on for a week. It's probably, cheaper to replace it than to pay the electric bill for what it is. So we'll get a cost on a replacement heater for over there. I think we got a temporary heater at Rhinac right now. That's an even smaller unit. Those are probably $200 heater unit. So we'll get you a couple of numbers on the heaters. We have a known leak now up on Rhineac Zone, the brand new pipe. So I don't know what the track down is here. I don't know if there's any responsibility back to the contract on that. But we're probably losing about 20,000 gallons a day up there.
Where?
What's that?
Where's the leak?
We don't know exactly, but I think it's at the end of the Aspen dead end, kind of right before it drops around, heading down towards Jungfrau is where I think it is. I still got to get leak detection out here to try to hone in on it. It's just through usage we see that we have a leak up there. So we'd like to obviously track that down. I mean, depending on at this point of the year, probably be more cost effective to wait for spring to try to actually fix it, unless something starts to come to surface or show any other sign of damage or anything. I've told Jeff about it a couple weeks ago when we noticed it, and he's been keeping an eye out. Let me know if he sees any icing or any water or anything like
Yeah,
that.
what a
So
bad place to have ice come on the road.
that would be terrible, right? Because it's
Aspen's like.
Yeah, that's been going down to Appinville Way, right around that area.
the other side. So
The other end, the west end.
Oh, down toward Jungfrau.
you
Yes.
got it.
Right.
Yeah, where the Grissom Grand Val, where you would kind of sweep around down that way.
Actually
So,
connects to Aspen then.
yeah.
You get the place.
Any other little hanging?
No, I'd like to put a dehumidifier in Oak just to control humidity
Oh,
in there a
yeah,
little bit.
I mean, that one's a tough one. It's very wet in that building. I mean, we got mold. I think you guys probably saw when we came around.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
we
Walkthrough.
did the walkthrough.
It's a wet building, no matter how you dice it, so we can try to get ahead of it on that. I don't know, damage down or whatever, but we'll, I think it's probably worth trying to put in get one at Home Depot and stick a dehumidifier in there.
One that has the hose that comes down.
Yeah, because there is a floor drain in there,
Yeah.
but the floor drain is about 3 or 4 inches off the floor, which is fine. It's certainly better than having nothing. It keeps the station from flooding. But yeah, so we can have one that auto dumps out. And keep it cheap. I mean, it's such a small footprint of building.
Yeah.
We're not going to do something major like some of the other buildings have. I mean, other than that, it's been, obviously slow. We go around, we do bleeder checks wintertime when we get, warm weather. So if we get the warm up that we're kind of expecting, we'll make sure nothing's pinched the copper off. Outside of that, I don't think we've had no leaks, no servers yet. I mean, been pretty quiet. So I know. No, surprising. No freeze ups on any properties. There's been a high freeze year, so with the kind of late snow and real cold temperatures we had, we've been having some freeze ups around, but nothing here. So we like that.
Good.
Yeah, quiet the last month or two. So
Yeah.
We like that.
we do like that. That's it. Yeah.
We got a message from Eversource recently regarding a meter change and demand meter, and that there was a lot of electricity used up there. I'm assuming they're talking
Where's
about-
this?
Rhineac place.
Rhineac.
It says,
Rhineac.
we are writing to advise you that we have scheduled a meter change for your location because electric use for your account has exceeded 1,500 kilowatt hours for at least 1 month.
That's the leak.
I wonder if this is a leak.
20,000 gallons is costing the electricity. That's the pressure zone.
Yep.
We're
I mean, between that and the
pressurizing to
failed,
get that leak to.
the failed heater was a couple months ago. I mean, I don't know when we just have like one of our plug-in, space
Wonder if we
heaters.
can tell them that we know we have a leak. It's going to be there for a while, and don't.
Yeah, if they could give us till April.
Don't run to the meter yet.
Don't run to
I
the
would
what?
ask.
Don't run to change the meter. They want to upgrade the meter, I guess, to
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, I
Can
don't think they
imagine
gave
why.
any dates or anything, did they?
Well, it just says here, if you have any questions, please call our customer
Yeah,
service department.
reach out. Tell them we have a
Alright.
known leak on the zone and it's going to
Yeah.
be repaired by April, and see
Okay.
if they can just maybe put that on hold.
That'd be cool if the power company starts telling us we have leaks.
Yeah, right. Hey, you guys had an increase.
It comes by letter though.
We've had a couple of ground faults up at Jungfrau. Most notably, we had that outage. Oh God, now I'm gonna space on the time frame of it all. But I got the call from 5 Rhineac, which they were one of the first ones to go out of water. This is going back probably 6 weeks or so. But I think Log Me In I have access to again. I think it was just an update to the app. Literally kicked us out, and then so anyway, same information, and everything. So that's settled.
Oh.
We are not getting the. I know you guys are working towards getting Tom in to take a look at the call outs and stuff. But the cause of that was a ground fault at Youngfrau. Ground fault we didn't get notified of because we didn't get a tank level
Right.
alarm. We didn't get a power outage. We didn't get anything telling us that things weren't going the way they were supposed to. So I don't know what is causing it, but I'd like to have somebody come up and take a look at it because obviously that's a pretty big part of our hub here. Is Youngfrau to Rhinebeck pump capability. So I'd like to take a look at that, and I also have noticed that our DPW well is producing slightly less than it was, I don't know, 6 months ago, right? It's, I think I kind of relied on about 140 gallons per minute out of there. Looks more like 135 right now. And we are at that 7-year, 8-year mark since we replaced the pump the last time. So I don't think it has anything to do with the draw on the well or because the actual well depth hasn't dropped at all. We do have a transducer in there, and it's not like it's drawn down to the 60-foot mark or something. It's at 60 inches.
The pump is tired.
I have some concern that maybe it's getting tired. So I don't, I know we were having this whole conversation as part of this, with the new well and everything,
How
but
long it takes to change it.
right. So how proactive we want to be with doing a swap on it versus waiting for it to fail and then changing it at that point. So I think it's time to actually think about whether we want to proactively do it or wait
Shoot
for
for
failure.
a nice spring day.
I'd love to.
Week?
Yeah, I'd love to not do it in the middle of winter.
Right.
So if we kind of put it on the docket for early, early spring, mid-April or something, I think it's probably a good idea. May. Dry. Let the mud dry up. So anyway, as soon as
Well,
practical.
there's no road ban, so we don't have to worry about that.
Right,
To
get in
get to
through-
where you need to get
No,
to.
we just have to come in through you guys' yard. So, so yeah, I think if you guys are on board with that, I think it's probably time to do
Do we
that.
not have a spare pump sitting around,
We-
ready to swap
I
out?
want to show the board the inside of that parts room
Yep.
at DPW2. And they saw the box that hopefully has the pump in it.
Fingers crossed.
and,
Hasn't disappeared out of there.
One of the things I wanted to ask is, there's a lot of coiled pipe that makes it difficult to move around in there. And I wonder if we can,
There's times it's neat and there's times it's not. So I think after some, it's usually not very neat. So I'm not sure what it looks like right now, but yes, we keep everything that we might need. So I mean, it's a pretty small room to be able to try to host, the potentials in there. Because we probably have, unfortunately, in our world, there's all the different. There's not just 1 3/4 inch pipe. There's CTS and IP and gal, all these different types and sizes. So we kind of range from 1/2 inch up to 1 1/4 on a lot of it. And the moment I throw away one of those old school coils is going to be the next day. It's going to be where I find the pipe that I need that on a Saturday or something. So yeah, I'm with you though. You get these big coils in there.
so we'd like to improve the way we inventory everything in the village.
Yep.
And match things up against purchase orders and what we have in there, so we'd like to organize that a little bit better, but one of the things was the original map that shows all the original locations is in the frame that's sitting up on top of a gray
Map drawer.
file cabinet for maps. It looks like, because the coils are in front of it, that's not really used too much. We're wondering whether you have any problem with that map drawer and that framed wall map move out of there to a safer, secure area.
No, I'd love it to.
Maybe
come out of
we
there.
even start scanning the stuff that's in
I
there.
actually, when we found that old well information in that map drawer, I mean, we don't go into it very often.
Which
until,
well?
The DPW. That's how when
Oh,
we
cool.
replaced that the last
So we
time. I was able
definitely
to send that out for the
It
boot
might
on
be
that.
timely that we pull that, because Nick has been asking for information about the original.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff in there with different site plans and not a lot that we find use for, but stuff that maybe you guys. I mean, there's road stuff inside that map drawer. So yeah, wherever you guys would like to rehost that, we'd be
We're
happy.
also
to-
looking at the fact that access to that room, that door's not locked, it's.
Yeah, we
on
keep it open
from-
between the two garages at this point. I obviously we have access to the garage. We can get in and out of the main garage building. I don't know if their key codes, I think the key codes are the same on both. That's when we're not really a
There's no
difference
key
between-
code for the back door into that parts room.
There's no key code for that back door.
That's a real key lock.
Gotcha.
It's not push button.
Okay.
One from the outside, the exterior.
Out near the pump.
I haven't used that in forever, so.
Yeah,
that's-
there's grass
That
growing
was
up that
obvious.
tells us
Yeah,
that nobody's
okay,
using
yeah,
it.
no,
Yeah,
we use
yeah,
that.
that was
We use
obvious
the-
when
use
we,
the front
when we went
entry.
in there, we were like, oh, they don't use this door.
No, we don't use the back door very often. I think years ago, obviously, when that was first put up, that was locked between, and we used that as the,
Was first put up, they didn't even have a door on the frame between the garage and that room.
I think, yeah, we actually had the space outside of that room for a period of time. We were using the overhead and then
Right.
even some of
Yes.
the space over kind of directly behind where our room is, and it's just kind of trying to tighten it up into our building over the years, but into just that garage bay. I think actually when you decided to separate the two garage halves is when we had to try to bring everything in there.
You have to look on top, maybe that's a place to store the coils.
Yeah, you know, it is. It's just the problem is you got one guy there trying to get to the coil. It's kind of not the safest or best way to do it, to try to get some of those coils up and down that ladder.
Right, low rate.
Yeah, come up with maybe a little pulley system there or something.
Yep.
Get up and down.
So, it's not high in the priority list, it's on our list of things to do, and
But yeah, we have no qualms. We don't use anything out of that except for very, very, very rarely. So
we'll tell you if we actually get time to do anything with that.
sounds
We'll do
good.
it.
I mean, if I got the trailer over there one day, we can toss it in there if you guys find a spot you want to put it. So
I don't know, we should probably look at the storage that's up at the top of the mountain too.
Well, we got that whole space of just filled with junk in there.
Is that the old
The old
cabana?
garage
Garage,
bay
yeah.
that,
I mean,
I asked you about that stuff up there, and you
Yeah,
just
it's
said,
been
that
15
stuff's
years since
yeah.
I've been in that building. I don't know, 12.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, that's a potential space if we cleared it out of useless stuff.
For all I know, there might be some parts up there. I have no idea.
Yeah,
There
you
might
said
be some
that
things
last
that
time, too.
are of use. So if you guys are ever going in there, we can come put
The
eyes
blue
on it.
brood, I understood years ago, could only go bad if it was subject to ultraviolet light, if it was left out in the sand. Another interesting thing was at that time, is if it was exposed to exhaust fumes. The blue brood didn't like being exposed to that. Other than that,
Could be good. I
it
mean,
was the
that's
same as it being in the ground.
it's entirely up to. I mean, I think I was saying, I don't know if that's like probably about 20, 30-year-old pipe at this point. I mean, maybe in a bind we'd use a chunk of it, but I would probably say if you were going to do a 200-foot extension with it or something, it's like for the cost of the pipe versus using the old stuff, I'd probably.
We're gonna use 4-inch, we're gonna use
And you can
fuse
use
pipe.
HDPE
We're not gonna
anyway.
use blue
So-
brood, so
Right.
it's only to repair
If
it.
you guys are thinking if we're going to move into just using HDPE, the district should probably consider purchasing the equipment.
When we did the force main from Jungfrau to Rhineach, the Burnham Company,
Is that HDPE though?
yeah, they fused it.
Okay.
So I'll have to ask Bernie if he used somebody else's to do that or whether he has it.
I mean, EJP has the equipment available for rent, which is the supply house we use, so they're fine with. When we thought we were going to be using it on Oak Ridge Road, we had lined up the equipment with those guys to use it. It's not readily available at like Coleman or it's not just there's not a shop right here locally that you're going to be able to go grab it. So in a bind, and then to have like the ditch, there's two kind of different sets of the equipment. There's stuff that's built for kind of being up on the ground and doing lengths of pipe and dragging it and dumping it in, and then there's like a repair set so you can actually get it down in the ditch.
Huh.
Might not be a bad idea to look at what the cost would be to have it, and make it so you're not handcuffed by that equipment. I mean, we could look at it. It's just I don't really do pipe work as a rule. It's not I mean, put a pipe in the ground, but we don't do large scale pipe work. So I just think if it's something you guys are going to move to almost exclusively, which I think is a good idea, but just to have the repair stuff, at least look at the cost of what it would be to carry your own equipment for that. There is some downside to that HDPs, you guys, and that's the biggest thing is the repair on it, is that you need to open up a lot of space to be able to make the repairs on it, although they've now made, I can't remember exactly what the name of it is, but it's fusion couplings, but instead of having to have this perfectly clean face and get the big equipment down there to press it together, because you gotta have enough room that you can like actually move the pipes, you know. But now they have these fusion couplings where you stick the two ends together and essentially weld them by there's a little diode stick up out of the top, and then you connect them, and then that melts the faces of them together, so you don't need all that
The
space.
heating
to-
elements built into the pipe?
You got it. It fells as you start to heat it. It burns off, and it brings the two faces in. It just hooks it together. So that's been their way to make it so you can do like a 10-foot repair on the pipe and add a, you know, you do all your fuse stuff up top, and then drop in a perfect cut and have those two kind of fuse couplings that you use. Because you can't use the conventional stuff that we use, dresser couplings and stuff like that, because the pipe, it kind of shrinks and grows based off temperature and things like that. So it'll snap the metal, or it'll get so small that it'll let the gasket push out or whatever. So you can't use conventional fittings on HDP. You gotta have, has to be HDP. They do have dresser couplings for them. We've used them, I think, once. They're about that big around, and they cost like a lot of money, like $1,500 per coupling.
So now we have to inventory those couplings for repair, emergency.
Yeah, as you're gonna have to add a secondary stock list for HDP. But if you do it all 4-inch, it won't be that bad. It's if you don't have 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch, that helps a lot in your inventory process, that you're not having to carry
Yeah,
all the
we're
different stuff.
not doing 4 inches the standard.
Yeah, no, I think if you did that, then it's not that bad. You have two couplings, you have couple of everything, and that'll get you out of most immediate jams. So, okay, I think that's. You got anything else on the?
Yeah, maybe the potential for that monitor down in the chem room there. For the SCADA system.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. Just if we made any headway on if we're okay to just set something up down in the office for the log me in stuff. So when these guys are doing their checks and whatnot, we talked once upon a time about setting something up down there. I can't remember where that fell.
Computer on the desk downstairs?
Yeah.
We haven't done anything with
Okay.
that.
All right.
No, I'm not even aware of it.
Okay.
It must have been a little before my time.
No, I think it was something,
No, it
we
was
were
after
discussing
we
in the meeting
started working
a
on
couple,
Yeah, we
couple
talked
months
about
ago,
it,
as we were deciding
really?
to. Yeah, so it's just to kind of clean up us going up, going up into the office or whatnot. So it's just useful to these guys when they're there on site to be able
Really?
to get
Yeah.
into it. So okay.
It might be good to get out of the log me in business too. That was recognized as a weak spot in security, but
Was
that's
it?
to the SCADA system, so that's
Mm.
all within EEI. So,
We find a lot of value, whether it's LogMeIn or whatever source we use. I mean, just being able to
Right.
look in on it when we're not physically on site can be a
Yeah.
heck of a step in the right direction. So,
too bad we can't use the human interface PC that we're gonna take off the SCADA system when he finally gets the new one there to put down in that office, but it's so old, it's probably.
Yeah, it's so old that.
I mean, it's all we have is like a read-only. I mean, that's all. I mean, we can go on, but it just needs access to the internet. That's all it is. It's just like a place, or I think we're Etherneted in. So it's like
The problem is that it's such an old version of the machine that it can't run a new version of Windows.
right.
So it's
I remember that being. Are we on like 98 or something up there, or
like
2000?
Windows 8, 7, or
Windows 8 or something.
Oh, okay, so it's a little better
I
than
think it's
that.
7.
I remember we had to like shut off all the updates. It wasn't like allowed to ever update. But
So we want that in the minutes, is that we need to work on getting some type of PC done in
Yeah.
that room.
it can be
Don't
something
do
super,
Simple, yeah.
super simple. It's just something for us to be able to click into.
It doesn't have to be a PC then, it could be,
Could be a laptop
Yep.
type.
could be a Google
Chromebook?
type, yeah.
Yeah,
Pad. I mean, it
If
does.
if it's just to get a browser to get.
That's
a network
literally all it
connection.
is.
So we'll ask Tom about
Chromebook,
that.
yeah.
He'll make a recommendation.
okay, yeah.
Because he's responsible for the security of that,
Yeah.
so we can't just plop one in there.
Right.
Okay. I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
Like I said, been nice and slow, so nothing to really go
Don't say
over.
that too
Knock
many
on
times.
wood.
I know. All right. Well,
Yeah.
listen, guys,
Yeah.
it's been it's good. So we'll.
Do you have any questions, anything?
No.
Excellent.
No, other than that, the leak. It's hopefully.
The one up
Yeah,
on
the
Rhinebeck.
Rhinebeck, yeah.
We used to have 19 leaks every winter. 19.
Really?
That was the average?
Yep.
Wow. Did you guys look that up?
No.
You just kind of have
Lived
like
through it.
I mean, it's yeah.
I used to see excavating contractors completely bummed being out there in cold weather.
Oh, man.
I remember when we did. I think the worst job I might have ever done was when we had a freeze up on burn before we had the bleeder on the end of burn, and we had to dig the pipe every 20 feet because the 2-inch installation when we were trying to do the thaw,
Yeah.
they had installed the couplings on it had this like manufacturer's defect, which wouldn't have mattered ever, but when you were trying to send the equipment through, the nub at the end of the
Caught it.
jetliner was too big to get through it. So every single bell coupling had to be dug up, which with the frost was 4 feet deep. So we were jackhammering down to it, the big 50-pound hammers.
Oh my
And
God.
then, cutting out every bell coupling, sending the equipment
Wow.
in, getting 19.5 feet, marking it out, repairing that one, going on.
No way.
Yeah, brutal, man. And
That
it was like, of
sounds
course, the end of the
brutal.
line, like right where it was frozen or whatever. We went
There's
to.
something not fun cutting into 4 inches of frost to stand waist deep in water
No,
Right.
Yeah.
no.
at 10 degrees.
Yeah, middle of February type of thing, but it was.
Not
Yeah.
enjoyable.
No, no.
So those are that's what the winters. I mean, it's been pretty good the last few years as far as.
We keep fixing them, and finally someday.
Eventually, there's you gotta run out of places to have problems, right? You would think. But all right, guys. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, just keep me as you've been doing in the loop on anything with the Como stuff. If you need any input from us, we're always happy to give
Yeah.
it. But I just kind of keep an eye on those things, and
I'll send you that Google measurement of Bergdorf.
sounds good.
Cool.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
See you all. Okay, so at 10:12, we move to administrator's report. And you have a note here, the 225 annual meeting posted in the newspaper.
For the annual meeting, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
So I think it just says that the voting on the warrant article starts at 10. That's a simple way to do it.
I made
There's a
some,
hard, there's
she
a hard.
did. Nancy
Yeah,
had
Nancy
some.
made some.
I made some
Those
Those are
rearrangements.
Nancy's changes.
And, yeah,
Because
So is it-
it's not a public hearing, it's the annual meeting.
Yep.
yes. right.
And then that it should start at, the voting starts at 10,
So the annual meeting, it's not a public hearing.
correct?
So just public notice of.
Annual meeting,
Annual meeting.
yep.
The hearing is when the governing board listens to
Yeah,
the audience. It doesn't necessarily have to be the voters. A hearing can be the residents, but at the annual meeting, it's not. We're not there to listen to them. They're there to vote, and
Right.
we're there as members of the legislative body.
Right.
So there's a huge difference between a hearing and the
Yeah.
annual meeting. Do you want to have it say voting for officers? There's room in that line to say voting for officers is between 8 and 10. New people don't understand the two sections.
Ah, okay.
Voting, the word voting doesn't describe it well enough. Is from 8 to 10, they're voting just for elected officials. From 10 to however long it takes, they deliberate and vote on warrant articles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can make that fit.
yep, I'm sure
Yep.
it will.
Yep. That makes sense.
So do you need a vote to put this in the newspaper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Make a motion that we put this in the ad in the newspaper. When?
Saturday if we can.
This coming Saturday.
Yeah.
okay, great.
Because the sun only comes out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and
I
Saturdays.
know.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And Saturday would be the one that most people would
look at.
look at, so.
The every other day sun.
Yeah, I know.
So there's a motion on the floor. Needs a second.
Second.
Put this in the paper ASAP. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0 on that.
Great.
Anything else from the administrator's report? Old business, 2024 annual report.
Yep, right over what you read, you wrote. Looked good to me. We discussed this last week, covered all the points.
I pretty much followed the outline that Jennifer jotted down on that piece of paper.
Yeah. Which we discussed, and
So we'll make a motion to discuss and approve this report to be sent to Linda Shackford well before the deadline of the
Second.
13th, 2 days from now.
yeah. Aye.
Any other discussion on this?
No, I reviewed it, I didn't see
How do you
anything.
vote?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 to send it to Linda. And so now at 10:16, we go to signature items, which we don't have any. So we'll go to commission's report. So I talked about the FEMA breakdown of materials and
Yep.
so forth. I also communicated with Holly Evans. You saw the email that I sent to the office about the program director for FEMA is changing again for the
Yes.
village.
Yes.
Yes, saw that.
So
So no more Maurice?
Maurice is
Maurice is on some other project now?
hopefully, and I don't know what FEMA Region 1 is or who the new person is. So I did communicate with Holly Evans yesterday, and I was asking two things. One is that the project for the Grissom Culvert Architecture and Engineering has a deadline of March 14th. And she said, unfortunately, every project needs to have a separate request for extension. So she's basically telling me to write yet another extension request just for the architecture and engineering. The second thing was the project that got separated out that's now called the Bergdorf and Barden Culverts. I said, when might we see a check for that? Because that was work that was completed
Right.
in 2023. And I don't know what the previous board submitted, but I submitted the cost of the equipment rental. They rented an mini excavator to do that. The cost of the pipe, the cost of the manpower, and our trucks. And she said that is still waiting for FEMA approval, and that she can't estimate when it is that they may release the check. But that would be really nice if we got
Yes.
an infusion of reimbursement for that at a time when we're trying to manage our money into the staggering numbers that we're looking at.
And it would be perfect for, like you said, inflow of some cash specifically for culverts. If there's gonna be culverts that we're gonna have to replace under roads as we're doing the ditching project over the course of this spring and summer, you
I was
know?
waiting for, I didn't say to Jeff when there was an opportunity for me to interject, but the cost of those culverts that he's talking about in Howell, that's not FEMA reimbursable.
No.
Those weren't identified as being damaged in the storm.
No, they wouldn't be, but if we get some cash,
We could spend it on that, but that's
Yes.
not,
we could,
that's not reimbursable again.
right.
Right.
Where the other stuff, if we parlay it,
Right, if we keep
Yeah, we're gonna be
investing in
focusing on the stuff that's
we lose
reimbursable.
25% every time
Yeah.
we do it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
we continue to get stuff
Right.
done.
Right.
Right. But if it allows additional cash flow at the beginning, we're in a better position.
Yes. So I'm looking at things like fuel, and we get reimbursed for the equipment usage by hour, but we have to have a starting point with the fuel, which I think we can manage with the first 6 months of the fuel budget. Meanwhile, the winter is eating into that fuel line as we speak, but we'll manage it. That's it. It was a lot of time going through that project on all that gravel and waste material, we need to contact company. We need ideas on where to put this stuff. We probably need to get the word out now, so that people that want fill start to know that we have it. And I'll stop there.
I don't have anything for this week.
Okay?
Okay, so since it hasn't been done yet, we have got to vote on the warrant. The commissioners need to put our recommendations or not recommendations and our votes for the warrant to put this together so that we can have it posted, hopefully Thursday. We do have one additional week if we wanna
Okay,
slide it a little bit, you know? But there is some additional work that needs to be done, and we need to, like I said, we need to start with voting.
Now, the recommendations by the governing board don't go into the state form for the warrant articles. It only goes to the voters for the day of the meeting.
They will be on the warrant.
That goes to the state?
Yeah.
The recommendations?
Yeah.
Okay. So that hasn't been sent then?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, right now, the warrant is definitely in draft form.
yes.
Now, did you see the email that Jennifer forwarded on Bob Ingram, the moderator's
Yeah.
PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Is that what I questioned that. Is that what he was asking for that day?
Yep, that's exactly what he was asking for.
Oh.
We put something like that together before the annual meeting every year.
Which has the recommendations on it. So we will produce those PowerPoint slides for him based on what we voted on today.
Yes.
So he can't use the draft form that we have after we update it, he can't use any of that?
No, he wants us to make a PowerPoint slide show out of it, not have him do it. I'm taking.
I don't
got that
know.
because we've produced it. The board has produced it in the past.
Yeah, I don't know if Bob did it the last couple of years or not.
I don't either.
So we could certainly, you know, if Bob's capable of, you know, I believe he's perfectly capable of doing it. But we would need to get the information to him.
So then that's back to
So he wants
my
to cut and
question.
paste it then if we give it to him. He
That's
doesn't
exactly
want a
what he
piece of
wants to
paper
do.
Like he got at the hearing. He wants it.
Right, he
Should
wants
we
it
ask
in
him
Word,
how-
he wants it in Word so that he
Yeah.
can cut and paste what he,
Yeah,
Did he say
Parts.
that? Did he say he wanted a Word file?
no, he did not say anything like
Yeah, I
that
was-
to me
I
at all.
wasn't-
right,
Okay.
Let's give it to him in
But
one
we
file,
can
or
give it
ask-
to
ask
him,
first what
yeah,
he
and
wants.
Yeah.
let's see what he says about it.
Okay.
I
Right.
mean,
All right. So make a motion for. You're gonna do these
so
one by one.
commissioners need to vote.
yeah, they have to be done
yeah.
each,
Oh, you can't just say if we.
No.
Yep.
every single one has to be voted.
And this is recommendation vote, like, what do you call this?
We're approving each warrant article to be on the warrant.
And it will also give our recommendations.
Yep.
They don't all quote-unquote require recommendations, but it's best to put recommendations on all of them for what the board.
So I'll make a motion that we recommend warrant article number 2, which is the loan, is 3-0,
Yep.
and put it on the warrant as is. So I'm not giving you the option of,
So,
I'm gonna make the motion, you'll have to amend it to say you don't want the warrant article.
Well, I think we're all, unless I'm vastly mistaken, I think we're all 3-0 in approving of all the warrant articles
Well, I'm gonna,
that are on there, because we worked on them all together, and none of us had any issues with any of them, once we worked them out and then presented it at the
I'd
budget
like to
hearing.
propose a new idea that I have for the last 2, which is in regards to the tower, the communication towers at the top of the hill.
Okay, so when we get to those, we can do that, but we can start with Article 2 and make resident,
you have to
the
do-
recommendations,
you have to do it
and
each
they have
one.
to be done each separately.
Correct.
So Mark made a motion for putting Article 2,
3-0.
I'm
With
seconding,
the
saying
recommendation,
second.
yeah,
Aye,
All right,
3-0.
okay, so now it's officially the 3-0.
yes. So Article 3 is the operating budget.
Yep.
Aye.
Motion 3-0,
3-0. Aye.
seconded by.
Nancy,
Aye.
second. Three,
Yep.
seconded by Woody,
Sure,
3-0.
Yeah, well, you'll do the seconding because she's reading.
Okay.
Okay,
okay. The fourth one is the water budget.
Yep.
Motion to accept that with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
great.
3-0.
Fourth is roads and ditches.
We did 4.
I mean 5, excuse me.
Which is roads and ditches.
Roads and ditches.
Motion
this
to
is
put
the
that on the warrant
6,000?
with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
Okay?
3-0.
Yep. The next is engineering for the Grissom culvert.
Motion to put that on the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
IT services, Article 7.
Motion to put that on the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
Article 8, copier scanner.
Motion to put that on the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
Article 9, gravel. This is the one that comes out of the unassigned fund balance.
Motion to put that on the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
Article 10, water lines. So this is the Aspen to Bergdorf
Isolation valves.
and
Yeah, I guess we should
isolation
call it
valves.
the Bergdorf. Does it say Aspen to Bergdorf in the warrant article?
It does.
Can we just strike, can we easily strike Aspen out of that? Because it's not Aspen to Bergdorf anymore. It's Bergdorf to Bergdorf. It's all in Bergdorf.
Okay, I'm totally confused.
The isolation valves will be going on Bergdorf and Grissom. And that would also,
Can I see the warrant article?
Yeah.
because we want to separate the Grissom culvert.
Yeah, I thought we talked
From
about
both
it last time
sides.
we talked about it. We changed it. and
It's
updated
not a
it.
water line from Aspen to Bergdorf anymore.
It is not.
It starts at the first house on Bergdorf and
Right.
ends at the house on the other side of Bergdorf.
Oh, okay.
At the time this was written,
Correct,
He had measured.
correct.
and
We had
done
measured
that.
from Aspen.
I was looking at a map that didn't have the house on Bergdorf on it.
Right.
Okay,
So, my motion is to strike from Aspen and change to Bergdorf to on Bergdorf. So it will read, to see if the village will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for the purpose of engineering water lines on
A-
Bergdorf.
is it just a water line?
Is a water line, yeah. Including the addition of isolation valves on Bergdorf and Grissom, and create the bid package. That clear enough for you?
Yeah,
So I'll make a motion that we put this modified Article 10 on the warrant with a vote of 3-0 recommendation by the commissioners.
Second.
Aye.
3-0 on that.
okay.
So Article 11 is DPW well B, engineering.
Make a motion to put that on the warrant with a recommendation of 3-0.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
The next one is Article 12, executive stipends.
Make a motion to put that on the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation by the commission.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
Article 13, that's selling the VDOE lot
Greenfields.
on Bristol stock.
Make a motion to put that on the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation.
Second.
Aye.
3-0.
And before we get to the next couple, there was a good discussion on this one that brought up the thought process of should this warrant article pass and we get that income, whether or not we're gonna wanna protect that income come the fall when we send in the revenues for the year to the DRA, because otherwise the DRA will automatically reduce taxes, listing it as income unless we protect it. I don't believe we need to do that right now. I don't believe we need to do that until the lot sells. But it is something we should keep in our minds as to whether or not we do want to protect future income from this for a for a certain project, or would we just want to use these
To reduce taxes.
to reduce taxes as they sell here and there? Because it's certainly not something that we know that is going to happen every year,
Well, that's something should be voted on anyway.
you know?
By
Once
who?
it sells,
By us. We
Right.
decide what,
Well-
how that money gets used.
We decide how this warrant article is written too, and I
Correct.
believe that we could write it right into here what happens
Yes.
with that money.
I see.
We
Yes.
have all kinds of
Okay.
options on this.
Right.
We'd have to remember to do it at the right time.
Correct, which is why I'm bringing it up now, going, this brought up a good point as far as what will happen. The DRA forms, like I said, unless we have it somehow listed as protected, it will automatically be reducing
So-
taxes.
So we could say that the proceeds go into the unassigned fund balance.
We could,
We could say that the proceeds will be used to offset 2025 taxes.
right,
We
right,
could-
or if there's
we
a
could say
capital
nothing and
reserve,
decide later.
or if there's a capital reserve that we wanna put it in, or, so there's multiple options, as to what we would want to do with this
Yeah.
protection.
Could go into land acquisitions.
Correct.
Well, I like the capital reserve option,
Then choose one.
one of the water ones, since we're,
No,
no?
Could,
this is land.
they could do whatever they want.
They can do it, yeah. Generally, it's considered separate.
You're confusing me. Why can't we put it
You
in?
saw her
water?
first reaction, that was her first reaction.
Yes.
And then she, this all pass, and everything goes smoothly, because it's still on the winner of the bid to follow this all the way through.
Correct.
This could die with the winner of the bid
Correct.
saying,
I'm not gonna do
yeah,
this.
I don't wanna do it anymore.
Right,
And we don't know who the winner of the bid is gonna be.
I gotcha.
So we just need a reminder, which is that when the check actually comes in, we should discuss what we want to do, if anything at all, at that time,
okay.
which would be a safe time to do it,
Yes,
is my theory.
Right.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we put this on the warrant as is, with a recommendation of 3-0 by the commissioners.
Second.
aye,
And that was 13, right?
yep,
So, classic case of don't put the cart before the horse.
Right,
right,
don't make things more confusing than they have to be.
right. And there'll always be road projects that need to be done,
Yep.
so.
Well, I guess the classic foobar was the selling of the clubhouse. I mean, I know they wanted to hold on to those dollars, but we all know what happened there, but
And just one more point on that. Does any taxpayer feel like they benefited? Did they feel it? That close to $400,000 was offset into the taxes?
No.
Didn't even notice it. A lot of people didn't notice it because they don't see any of that. Their bank handles it all.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
Right.
right.
So,
It was not, it's like things sort of stayed flat that particular
it
year.
just confused the next year. It ticked them off to see.
Then it went up.
To see everything go up so much the following December,
Yeah.
It was disruptive.
yeah,
Let's move on.
okay? The next two are the tower agreements.
So, as a result of the hearing, I started to think that I'd like to use these warrant articles a little bit differently. I don't want to hurry into having to have an agreement with the Carroll County. I would like to turn these into a hearing, a referendum on what the voters think, what the voters think we should do in renegotiating this contract. In other words, not asking them to, what's the word? It's not verify, validate. What do
Right
we-
now, it's ratified.
Ratify a contract we have already got signed, is to ratify the idea before we actually go off and negotiate anything. Do they want us to get revenue from these two agreements? And so it would be representing the pluses and minuses, which I think we still have within the board, of what we should do with this.
Mm-hmm.
The contract allows it to automatically continue the way it is for another year.
Right.
So it's not like we have to do anything. And I don't want to do it in a rush. I'd really like to use this opportunity to hear from the voters that come to the meeting as to what they want to do. It'll be at the end of the meeting, and it won't be a money article right at that point.
Correct, it's not a money, it's not
Basically,
a,
would say, in concept,
It isn't,
do you
yes.
like the idea of us, since it's our land, collecting money from these people who are basically using our space?
Yes. Land
Yes
our
or no?
own. Right.
right. Right, with the general information that this has been in place since '84, and we have never taken money from sheriff.
Yeah, what about the town of Conway?
That's where it can be
That,
separated.
to me,
That's
that's
new.
where we can separate it, because Conway is a new agreement. We do not have an agreement with the town of Conway. We simply know that Conway also has equipment in the room and on the tower.
So they piggybacked is basically what they did.
In the agreement, does it allow Carroll County to make agreements with other people to use our facility?
I don't have it right in front of me.
I don't think so.
I don't have it.
think so
I
either.
don't- You know?
And there's things that Carroll County should be doing that they haven't been doing as part of that agreement.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, let's discuss all this with the voters, and I'd like to get their feedback before I make my mind up as to what we should do as one of the three commissioners.
But
Okay.
You mean for recommendation?
Yeah.
So no recommendation at this point?
Well, now we have to discuss that.
Okay.
It's a recommendation as to,
Well, no, I think we're still recommending these articles. We may need to reword them a little bit, but you basically want to have, you said it's a referendum on the concept of, should we pursue new lease agreements which are monetized? Versus there's an old lease agreement, at least with the sheriff. It's a lease agreement, it just has no
How
monetary
about this?
value to us.
how about this? At this point, we're not firm in recommending that they approve this, because we don't have a contract to show them as to what they're not ratifying, which is what these warrant
Right.
articles are saying.
Yes, correct.
So
right,
I
because
say-
we've always just
I say we
ratified
put-
it as is.
We put no recommendation down on this,
Right.
and we use it as, explain that we're gonna use this as a brief hearing on this subject.
Right.
Okay.
So I make a motion, we put Article
14 and 15.
14 and
14,
15
on the warrant with no stated recommendation either way by the board. No stated recommendations.
I agree with
either
that.
way. So it's blank.
Yep.
Did the
Yes.
Legal-
Second.
Second.
second, I second that. I was thinking ahead that we've already contacted our legal counsel regarding to reaching out.
She hasn't done
No,
anything.
she won't do it.
And she's not gonna do anything
Not
until we
with-
have a conversation with
Yeah.
the sheriff's office.
Plus she has a
And-
conflict of interest in.
Correct.
I saw that,
In the, yeah.
but that was just the sheriff's, Carroll County,
Correct, it
Yes.
doesn't have anything to do with
Conway.
Conway, correct,
Okay, so nothing has happened on that front.
right.
Okay.
And the feedback we paid for was useful, and we don't need any more involvement at this point.
Right,
Because the voters may indicate that some of us decide to go in another direction, we'll
Right.
find out soon.
right.
So.
So that'll
ready
be
to
4 and
vote on
5,
this?
and the last one is
Oh,
16.
I don't think we voted.
Wait,
Oh.
you didn't do it, you didn't do the,
We didn't do the vote.
what a second.
Aye,
Nit
Aye.
3-0 on
Okay.
posting of
Yes.
no
No
state
state
recommendation.
recommendations, okay.
And then the last one is, Article 16, the highway and parking ordinance.
Make a motion, we put this in the warrant with a 3-0 recommendation by the board.
Second.
Aye.
3-0?
Yep.
And that covers that? No correspondence?
Okay.
Ed, are you still in your commissioner's report?
The one other thing is I want to see, we should order 100 envelopes from Minuteman Press for the absentee votes, because we only have the last few, and we borrow some from Madison to make sure that we would have enough. Not that we've gotten any requests, but
Really?
we don't normally.
Is there, we don't normally?
Yeah, if something's contentious, then the amount of absentee ballots requests go way up. Otherwise, we don't normally get more than
Let's
just
put
a
it this way,
few.
last year there was only one.
Yeah,
Only one of,
one absentee ballot
Oh.
request,
When I was the village
Oh.
clerk, there was only one absentee ballot.
that's amazing.
right.
And it was contentious?
Yeah, no, no, last year wasn't. Last year wasn't.
Okay, so.
And this year's
you're
not,
making a
which is
motion to
good.
get 100 printed envelopes?
Yeah,
Is that
I'll
like the
second it
minimum?
for discussion. And any further discussion on it?
Is that like, is 100 because that's the minimum Minuteman Press will do? Seems like an awfully lot of envelopes.
well, okay, we just finished the $100, the 100 that I made, that I had Minuteman Press do in 2000, I want to say 18.
Oh, okay, so you're looking,
So they'll be available for the next 5 years,
okay. I was just wondering where that 100 number came from, okay.
because
So
I
if you-
think it was an easy
If you
number.
start doing contentious things, we're gonna be using more of those envelopes.
I'm all about diplomacy, man.
So,
Who seconds? Oh, you
I
did.
made the motion, Nancy seconded
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and now
Okay.
Aye.
we're ready to vote?
Aye,
Yeah.
Okay.
3-0.
Just because it's spending money.
order 100.
It's, I know, but it's spending money, so,
Hopefully these
I
envelopes are yellow by the
predicted
time
the
we
last
use
10
them all.
years.
Hopefully these, what, did you say?
They're yellow with age by the time we use them all,
No, the other ones aren't yet, so.
yeah.
right? Okay, so, anything further? in the
Nope, that
report?
was my list.
So at 10:44, there's no correspondence, there's no one here for public appearance, no public comments on non-agenda items, there's no non-public session for today. And our next meeting will be on February 19th, right here, which is a Wednesday, because of the holiday? Is there a holiday?
Oh, that's right, there's a holiday
President-
next Monday.
President's Day, huh?
Oh, so we're next
So
Wednesday.
we're Wednesday, the
Ooh.
19th.
Uh-oh, hold on.
Conflict.
Well, I've got a medical procedure. I probably will not be unless they schedule it way later. I did not realize that was I always consider it's Tuesday. I'm just letting you know.
And it's at the library.
The 18th
Oh,
one?
shoot.
No, that's
Oh,
the
no.
25th. The
Sorry,
25th,
jumped down a line.
on the 25th is the,
Is Tuesday at the library,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
but
But next week, it's Wednesday here, at
Correct.
9 o'clock. And if you can make it, you make it. If you don't,
Good.
we have a majority. We have a
Yep.
quorum. And I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 10:45. Second?
Second.
How you vote?
Aye.
3-0. Thank you, Carol. And we'll sign checks.